Hey guys, it's Sarah from Just My Typewriter, and I am so excited for today's video. As you can see by the title, we have a lot to talk about. So on August 8th of 2020, I released a video about the Barbie typewriter. If you want to know more about the Barbie typewriter, I've linked that video down in the description below. I was fascinated by the concept of the Barbie typewriter. I'd run across it while researching toy typewriters for another video I had done, but I was really interested in this Barbie typewriter specifically because it had this function that allowed people to code and decode messages using the typewriter. Now, Mattel licensed this typewriter design from a Slovenian company called Mahino, which had actually put this function in the typewriter specifically to code and decode messages. They included it in their instruction manual. It was a big feature of this toy typewriter. However, when Mattel decided to license this typewriter, their first couple electronic versions, they did not include this coding and decoding function in the instruction manual for the toy typewriter. And the reason they didn't do that is because they didn't think that young girls would be interested in the coding and decoding functions of the typewriter. However, they still used the same electronic components, which meant that this function was still in the typewriter. So people would get their Barbie typewriters, get them shipped to them, they would try using them, and all of a sudden it would appear like the typewriter was typing in gibberish because there was no instructions on how this typewriter was coding and decoding messages. So a lot of people just got rid of their typewriters. They thought they were broken. In the later versions of the Barbie typewriter, this function was then emphasized in the instruction manual, and we'll talk about that a little bit today. Anyways, I filmed that video in like March of 2020, mid-quarantine. It was a big deal. I was filming at home for the first time outside of this studio, and I released that video in August. Since then, I had been looking for Barbie typewriters everywhere. Every yard sale, every thrift store I went to, every time I went on eBay or Shop Goodwill, I was searching for my Barbie typewriter because I really wanted to include one in my collection. Flash forward to about the 1st of March in 2021. And I ran into this listing from a UK seller on eBay for this Barbie typewriter. It was perfect. The price of the unit itself wasn't too bad. I was willing to pay that, but then I looked at the shipping cost for this Barbie typewriter, and because it was for the UK, it was so expensive. It would have been over $100 just to ship this typewriter to me from this UK seller. Now, I did message the seller a few times asking if there was any other way to ship it that might cost less, and they got back to me once but didn't give me an answer, and I just really thought that this was not the one for me. I was going to miss out on this opportunity, and I was preparing myself to be okay with it and continue on with the quest. I posted about this specific machine on my Instagram, just.my.typewriter, and a few days later, on March 5th, a follower actually messaged me. Her name was Emma, and she runs the YouTube channel Lychee Pink Planner. Since then, Emma and I have become really great friends. She messaged me and said, "Hey, I'm in the UK. I'd happily buy that typewriter for you and ship it to you at a much lower rate." I was so ecstatic and excited. I got the Barbie typewriter. She purchased it for me through eBay and then went through the process of shipping it to me. Here's a little footage of the day that I actually found out I was going to win the Barbie typewriter.
I'm actually crying. I don't know if you could tell or not, but thank you so much, Emma. I'm so excited. I woke up and within 20 minutes had a Barbie typewriter. I'm so excited right now. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm freaking out. Oh my god, this made my 2021.
Then she shipped the typewriter to me, and I got it on March 19th, 2021. Here's a little bit of an unboxing video that I did. I thought it was really cool doing an unboxing video of my Barbie typewriter. And what was really awesome about this is not only did she send me the typewriter, but she also included a bunch of British teas, this beautiful teacup, and some snacks, and then some documentation about the typewriter itself. Ignore my dirty hands and dirty phone, but I just got my box from England and I'm so excited. Thank you, Emma. So I'm gonna open it here on camera, and Puppy is joining me somewhere in the room. Let's give this a shot. I have to be careful and not be stupid opening this. Looks like there's some snacks in here. She did say she was gonna send me some tea to go along with it. And then my Barbie typewriter. More sweets. I
can't believe this day has come. Here we go. All this careful wrapping. Emma does a fantastic job. There we go. Oh! Look at her! Puppy! Hey, don't eat that. That's my snack from my friend Emma.
And here is that typewriter. Now, what was really awesome about this typewriter is it worked. A lot of typewriters that have these electrical components in them, especially because they're kids' toys, do not last long. This typewriter itself is from 2004, and it still worked right out of the box with the cable, and the ribbon is a little bit faded, but you can still actually see what it's typing. So Emma purchased it for me, shipped it to America, and then I had my typewriter. After this, our feeds were just filled with Barbie typewriters. I had never seen so many Barbie typewriters for sale in my life, and it's because I was looking at international postings for typewriters. I had never seen one that was really for sale in America or that was shipping from somewhere in America that was like a reasonable price for me to purchase. And we had so many ones from the UK, from France, from Spain. They were all Barbie typewriters. From that side of the world, all of a sudden, showing up on our eBay feeds, in our Facebook Marketplace feeds, we were just flooded with Barbie typewriters. I finally got to test this typewriter on March 30th, 2021. I had to buy a converter because this is a British toy. They have a different voltage, so I had to buy a step down and step up converter, and that was also a bit of a process.
So I ordered an adapter, which was supposed to come, and when I got the prime bag, it was open and there was nothing in it, as if someone had opened it or it fell out somehow. So I went on Amazon, I put in a help ticket that said, hey, I never got the product. So they shipped me a second one for free because I never received the first one. And I got an adapter which would step down and step up the power to make this British typewriter adaptable to the US. So somebody in the universe didn't want me to use my typewriter right away, which is why I had to order twice.
So I had this typewriter, and then the middle of April rolls around, and Emma spots another toy typewriter, another Barbie toy typewriter on Facebook Marketplace for £5 right next to her house. And she sends me a message, screen grab of it, and I said, oh boy, what am I gonna do with a second one? And she said, I don't know, but you should have two. And that's how this happened. On May 27th, she shipped me a second one, and now I have two Barbie toy typewriters. I don't know how we got here, but I'm pretty stoked about it. So these are my two Barbie toy typewriters. I'm so excited. These are both E117 models. This light pink one over here is from 2004, and this darker pink one is from 2006. Now we know this because Emma did a bunch of research and found that the two stamped dates on the inside of the boxes were actually from Toys R Us, indicating what year they actually got these machines. So in the box for this lighter pink toy typewriter, it has a date from 2004 stamped on the inside of the box, and this darker pink one has a date from 2006 stamped on the top of the box. Now both of these are E117 models. There are a few different variations of the Barbie toy typewriter listed on the Crypto Museum website. That's where I got a lot of my information for all of my research on Barbie typewriters. The E115 is the first Barbie Mattel version of this electronic toy typewriter. Then the E116 is the next one, and they don't actually have a Barbie version of that at the Crypto Museum or in their information for the Crypto Museum. They do have one from Mahino that is the E116 variant, but it's in French and it doesn't have the encoding and decoding function, which is what I was really excited about in the typewriters. These are the E117s. These are both Barbie typewriters, and these came out after the E116s, and they both have the coding and decoding function, as well as a few other functions that we're going to try today that I didn't even know it had, like bolding font and underlining. I also got the paperwork that goes with these two machines, and actually in the user manuals you can see a little bit of difference. Even though these are the same model of typewriter, same body shape, the manuals for these two typewriters are just a little bit different in variation between the 2 years of 2004 and 2006. The first variation is that the Crypto Museum states that the E117 model, these ones, and the one after it, the E118, do not have a battery compartment. It makes the machines lighter, they don't have to wire that in, they only use a cord to power these machines. However, the manual from 2004 with this lighter pink machine does show a battery compartment in the manual and shows you how to put batteries in it, even though there's no battery compartment on this machine at all. By the time we get to 2006, there's no battery instructions in the manual, so they must have gotten rid of that part because it's not in the machine either. The second difference between the two manuals for this machine, and I kind of find this interesting, is that in the 2004 model of this machine, the manual doesn't have the encoding and decoding functions directly labeled in the user manual. They printed a separate sheet that would go inside that user manual that explains the encoding and decoding functions and how to use them on the typewriter. By the time we get to 2006, that's already integrated into the manual. So they take out the battery compartment section of the manual because it's not relevant to the typewriter, and they do add in the encoding and decoding functions. So now they're not trying to hide the fact that this is a really cool piece of typewriter history that encodes and decodes information. I find that interesting because the inserts could have been printed later after the manuals were printed, and they just kind of threw those in there to appease people who thought that their typewriters were broken in that 2004 range, and by the time they got to 2006, they were accurately printing the manuals to include the encoding and decoding function and get rid of the part about batteries because it's just not in these typewriters. Both of these typewriters use a daisy wheel to actually print the letters onto the paper, and we talked about the daisy wheel in a couple of videos, especially the ones where my IBM Actionwriter is involved, and I've linked a few of those videos below because it also uses a daisy wheel. A daisy wheel is a little spiralized device with all the letters on it, and it spins the wheel. This way you don't have to have a bunch of key bars in the typewriter. It makes the typewriter lighter, which is great for kids' toys, and it makes a few less moving parts. So in addition to having the daisy wheel component to them, they also use alpha substitution to code. Now I talked about the coding functions in the previous video, but basically you can click a series of keys here on the typewriters to engage the coding mode, and you use the numbers 1 through 5 to code, and then the rest to decode. This is in the user manual, and it's pretty easy to engage. The big thing here is to make sure that you're coding and decoding in the same format. So for example, if you're coding in the series for 1, you want to make sure that you're decoding in the same series for 1. So if you code with the shift lock 1, you want to make sure that you decode with shift lock and 6. This way you're using the same function to code and decode. If you type in 1 and you do shift lock 1 and then you decode in shift lock 7, you're decoding in a different function than the message was actually coded in, and it'll still look like gibberish. But it does use alpha substitution in each of those coding functions to code and decode the messages. Both of these typewriters came with their original boxes. The 2004 model over here also came with a test sheet in with the manual. And the test sheet basically is a little piece of paper that has a few of the letters on it, and it says it was tested at the factory before it went out for shipping. What I found interesting though is when I actually looked at this test sheet, the test sheet is labeled for the E115 model, not the E117, which this typewriter is. By the time I got to this 2006 one, there was no test sheet to show the alphabet. Either it wasn't tested or they just got rid of that function before shipping it out. Neither of these came with an extra cartridge or the original paper and stationery that went with these typewriters when they were originally shipped. Now the cartridges pose a bit of an issue because they're really hard to replace in these machines. And Emma should work for the FBI, MI6, CIA. She did a ton of research on how to get new cartridges for these typewriters, and we're going to go through a little bit of her journey on that. In addition to the first typewriter, she sent me a bunch of paperwork on her research of these cartridges, and we texted back and forth about this a lot. So what she did was she found this troubleshooting and useful information piece of paper in with the manual for the 2004 machine, and on it, it does have an address for where you can write in and order another ink cartridge for this machine. Now the cartridges on this are different. It's not a typical typewriter ribbon. It is a little almost cartridge with the ribbon in it, and it's a weird size because it is a toy typewriter. Now she actually went and found this address on Google Maps. It's a residential address, so she wanted to see if it was still someplace that might have ribbon cassettes in the basement. She found the address and found a picture of the actual location on Google Maps. This is somebody's house. But she found that it was in a residential area, and then what she did was she actually found the name of the people who lived there, and she wrote them a letter to see if they might have any additional leftover cassettes in the basement. Maybe they're the same people who were shipping them out before. Maybe that place has moved. Maybe there was just a random box in the basement when those people moved in, and maybe they have some ribbon cassettes. We didn't get very far on that front, but she did send a letter to the people that lived there. We never heard back. So that option didn't pan out. But as she was looking for more Barbie typewriters for me and running into more listings like this one, she actually found a picture of the paperwork included with a different Barbie typewriter that had a totally different address and contact information on it. So she went and found the person listed at that address on LinkedIn and sent them a message. Now this person responded and said they hadn't worked at that company in a really long time. They didn't have any information on where you might be able to get new ribbon cassettes or cartridges, but they did send us to the Mahino company and their support section to see if maybe we could contact them and get some information on where we might get some ribbon cassettes. So then Emma went and emailed the Mahino company and their support section and actually received a response from the Mahino company. In that, they included a PDF of all of the E118 models that they actually had sold through that company. So there were Mahino toy typewriters, the Barbie typewriters, all the variants with the original advertising for those pieces, and then informed us that they don't make cartridges for these toy typewriters anymore, that they're no longer available. So we didn't get anything out of it, but I thought it was really cool that Emma went through all of the effort to contact all of these companies and people to try to track down some cartridges for these toy typewriters. Now the 2004 ribbon in the ribbon cassette is a little bit dried out, so it's a little hard to read, but on the 2006 one, she says that the ribbon is much better. I have yet to try this machine. We're going to try it today. So that's a little bit of info on these two toy typewriters. I'm really excited to have them and to get to play with them some more against some of my other machines. I have done some testing on this machine. I tested it on March 30th, earlier 2021. So this right now is August 1st. So I tried this a few months ago. Here's some footage of me testing it for the first time.
Today is the day I try the Barbie typewriter for the first time. Oh my goodness. I had to buy an adapter for the plug because she's British and fancy. And then Emma sent me this coded message, which I'm trying to decode. It took me 15 minutes to figure out how to turn on the coding function, but I think I've got the first line of text. So let's try a few more. So I think I just properly decoded the message from Emma. Hopefully. It kind of makes sense.
And today is the day that I will be testing this toy typewriter for the first time. Hopefully I don't blow anything up. So here's the new Barbie typewriter. I have not tried this one at all. As you can see, it's a darker color. There's a little bit of a different key color here. This is different than the other machine. This is an inset panel that looks a little different. And there's some different branding here on the typewriter itself. But I wanted to plug this one in and give it a try. I'm missing, did I not bring paper? Okay, she's plugged in. That's a scary noise. I think it's on, maybe. Let's try. Typing on this. Doesn't feel like it's clicking in very well. Oh, why is it not advancing? Did I hit a lock or something? Is that? 5 is paper. Uh-oh. Come on, we can do this. That's ribbon. Oh, I hope I didn't break something. That doesn't sound right to me. Let's turn it off and turn it back on. It doesn't want to go. Let's try the other one. Feels like the paper's at least gripping in. Okay, it is advancing, which is good. The ribbon is really faint. Maybe I could take the cartridge out of the one and put it in the cartridge of the other. That sounds like that would be complicated and get ink everywhere. I didn't break that. All right, here's this cassette. What's interesting about the cassette is you can see that everything's included in here, including this little turny wheel, so it'll be a different color from the other machine. In there, hopefully in the right place. Oh, I get so nervous with plastic. Let's try underlining now, because I thought that was pretty cool. So Shift, Lock, U. Let's try coding and decoding again on this one really quickly. So we'll try Shift, Lock, and 2. And let's just type in just my typewriter. Now to decode this, we hit Shift, Lock, 6. And we type in the letters that it printed. So when you do hit a letter that's on a shift move, like a number or something like that, you do have to hit the shift. I didn't do that on this one, and it printed the wrong one. But that's how this guy works. I'm gonna have to mess with this a little bit. Something could have happened in shipping. I also might have done something. I don't know. I don't trust myself. Ow. It bit me. This has been quite the journey. I've been looking for a Barbie toy typewriter for over a year, and I was really excited every time I ran across a posting for one on eBay or some other seller sites, just because I was excited to know there were still some out there in existence that I could maybe have access to. I never thought for a second that me posting on my Instagram about some of them would actually lead to me getting one toy typewriter, let alone getting a second one. I'm so thankful to my followers on Instagram, Just My Typewriter, and especially to Emma, because she's the one who went out and did all this research for me and shipped me these machines, and she's just a great creator on YouTube as well. You should definitely check out her YouTube channel and Instagram at Lychee Pink Planner. I'm so happy to have these in my collection. They're a little bit weird. Not a lot of typewriter collectors are interested in machines like this because they don't type super well. They're more for interest, not so much function. But I am happy to have them because I didn't know how long these would be out there. When people found out that they were typing in gibberish or that an encoding function was involved and they didn't know how to turn it off, a lot of people threw them away. So we don't have a ton of examples of these in existence. And what's really great about typewriters is there's so much variety. You can collect whatever you want. And I just happen to want to collect weird ones that nobody else wants, like these guys. If you're interested in typewriter content, I encourage you to check out the other YouTube videos on this channel. I've got a lot of other content coming out that are related to Barbie typewriters as well. I also have an Instagram at just.my.typewriter where you can see more of my collection and DM me about your typewriters, and we can talk a little bit more about typewriters there. I also want to give a huge shout out to Emma from Lychee Pink Planner. I've linked her Instagram and her YouTube channel below. You guys should definitely check that out. She is such an amazing friend to have in the typewriter community, for sending me 2 typewriters and for doing all this research involved in getting the machines and learning about their history, and then also finding out where the cartridges might be. Again, MI6, if you're hiring, I highly suggest Emma. Another side note, I actually had a portrait done of this Barbie toy typewriter on this side from 2004 by an amazing Instagram account called The Typing Pint. I've linked his information down below. If you're interested in getting some pictures done of your typewriters, he's a really great resource for that, and you've probably seen it in the background of a few of my videos. It's really cool to have a painting done of this specific typewriter because it was my holy grail machine, and now I have it. I'm so excited. I want to thank you all so much for joining me today, for being on this Barbie typewriter journey with me, and I want to remind you, you're just my typewriter.